Hey there. Today we're going to be talking about how to make better coffee with a French press. A lot of these methods though will still be able to be used on other brewing methods, whether you're using an AeroPress, a V60, a Chemex. A lot of these first methods to begin with are transferable to other things. So there's a few tips and tricks to begin with, and then we'll get into the actual brewing. First of all, to make better coffee in general, buy fresher beans. The fresher the coffee, the better it's going to taste. If you go into a supermarket and you're finding coffee on the shelves, it could have been sat there a few months. Have a look on the back of the bag, see if there's a roast date. If there's not a roast date, there'll be at least a best before end. So have a look at that, because sometimes, especially the supermarket coffees, they can have up to 12 months from the roast date. Most of them are probably around 6 months. But just be aware of how fresh those coffee beans are. But if you're buying coffee from a local independent coffee shop or from a roaster online or something, they will pretty much always have the roast date and the best before. So the fresher the coffee, the better it's going to taste. This is because coffee beans have carbohydrates and fats in them, and over time they start to degrade and go stale, and you can really taste the difference. If you have a 1-month-old coffee and the exact same coffee that was roasted maybe a few days ago, you'll be able to tell the stale difference between them. So fresh coffee makes better coffee. The next one is grind. So if you can, go out and invest in a grinder. Coffee grinders, they don't have to be the fanciest, most expensive coffee grinders you can find. I think I got mine for about 90 quid. If you can invest in a pretty decent grinder, you won't regret it, because you will see so much of a change in your coffee. But you can get pretty decent hand grinders. You can get, fairly cheap, like DeLonghi do some decent ones that are at a good price. But yeah, grinders again will make your coffee brewing so much better. Again, this goes back to the oxidization and the staleness of coffee beans. Once you've ground that coffee, there's so much oxygen getting into that coffee beans that all the carbohydrates and the fats go stale really quickly. So the fresher the coffee and the fresher the grind, the better. Next one is scales. So scales can be really important. I have said before in other videos, they're not imperative that you have scales. It's not the end of the world if you don't. If you're able to use a scoop or something, then great, cool. But if you can get some scales, because scales aren't that expensive. I think mine were about 12 quid. But they will last you absolutely ages, and you'll be able to get consistent brews and able to start playing with brew weights. This is really cool if you're using like an AeroPress or a V60 or even a Chemex, because you can start messing around with brewing ratios and recipes. And that's what the whole AeroPress Championships does, is the whole different recipes, different grind, different actual coffee weight going into it and everything. So get some scales, and then you can start getting some more consistency and some better coffee coming out. Generally, as a rule of thumb, I always do 60 grams to a litre when brewing any method, and I will adapt that method appropriately to how the coffee's tasting. Next one, moving into the actual brewing of coffee. So we're going to start out by weighing the coffee, and then we're going to go grind it, so we make sure we've got fresh coffee and it's ground to the brewing ratio that I want to use. Now here we've got fresh water, just from the tap. I've not even put any RO system or anything into it. It's straight tap water, fresh from the tap. Fresh water will definitely help because it's not sat there getting stale. And then just boiled it up, and straight off the boil we're going to pour it into our cafetiere. Once we've poured the water into the cafetiere, we're going to let it brew for 4 minutes. This is really important. You don't want to rush making a cafetiere because it's a steeping brew method. There's nothing else that is helping this extraction apart from the water and the coffee. So once it's got to the 4-minute mark, we're going to what we call break the crust. We're going to get a spoon, give it a good stir. This is going to do a couple of things. It's going to stop the extraction and get all that coffee grounds settling to the bottom of the cafetiere. So when it comes to plunging, we're not going to have to push down at all. We're going to let those grounds settle for a few minutes, and then we're going to take the crema off the top of it with a couple of spoons. You don't absolutely have to do this, but if you want a bit of a sweeter, cleaner cup, Okay, so a really fun little trick to do, and you will get better coffee from it. So just take a couple of spoons and scoop that crema off, get rid of it, and then we want the whole brewing method to take at least 8 minutes. If you can take it longer, better. Again, the more patient you are with it, the better coffee you will have. So I like to generally wait about 10 minutes before I actually start drinking or even pouring out my cafetiere or French press. So we've got after the 10-minute mark. I'm going to put the plunger on, but I'm not going to push down because I don't want to agitate the grounds at the bottom of the coffee bed down there, because that's going to start like re-extracting those coffee grounds down there and could potentially end up making it taste more bitter. So I'm just going to leave it sat on the top and pour that out, and we've got a beautiful cup of coffee. It's that easy. My main tips for this, just be patient with a French press. You need to let it have that time to extract the coffee properly. Let it brew, just let the cafetiere do its thing. It's not a quick brewing method. If you want a quick brewing method, I'd have a look at the AeroPress or the V60, because you can get great coffee a little bit quicker and it will always taste fantastic. The next videos we're going to do, we're going to be talking about AeroPresses and other tips and tricks on how to generally just have better coffee. I'll see you for the next one. Hope you've enjoyed this. Peace. Hello again. So, here I am again to up to my own video. I forgot to say at the end of this, if you have any thoughts on your own brewing methods for French press and cafetiere, comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are, what your brew recipes are as well. And, you know, thank you as always for commenting, liking and subscribing this. Make sure you do subscribe because we'll have a lot more stuff coming out very soon. Thank you again, and I'll see you later. Let's get brewing. Peace.